All right, welcome back, everybody. Now, yesterday was the day that TNT voted in both Trinidad and Tobago. In Trinidad was the local government by-election, and in Tobago were the THA elections. And it's still quite the nail-biting affair because we've seen some things that were, in some cases, unexpected. Joining me this morning to speak about the youth perspective on both, it is Jamon Madden, who is the youth assemblyman for Scarborough-Calder Hall electoral district in Tobago. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, good morning.
Thank you for joining us this morning. Now, let's speak first about Tobago and the THA election. Now, when it comes to the youth perspective on elections, the youths are notorious for, not having a lot of participation when it comes to voting. What do you think is the main reason behind that?
Well, I think the main reason behind that is because we as youth have promoted a culture of thinking that we are too young to vote, thinking that voting is for the older ones. And I think it's this election where I saw youth mainly campaigning about voting because they realized that their vote would have mattered. And a lot of campaign officers really propel youth to come out and vote because they know that the youth vote will definitely be beneficial to their party. But we youth definitely have our own perspective now. We have our right to choose, and I think that the youth voter turnout, especially among me and my colleagues, have increased widely.
So you're saying that the youth vote, more youth went out to vote this time around. Do you think what do you think is the reason behind that?
I think the reason behind that is, as I said, number one, a lot of the political parties that they look up to encourage them to come out and vote, encourage them to practice their say. And we in the Tobago Youth Assembly have been telling youth that voting is irresponsible because we once didn't have this right to vote and to practice our right for democracy. And it's quite irresponsible to vote. So I think campaigning through that method and also informing youth the importance of voting is what allowed them to vote, as well as them making their personal opinions and personal things to come out and vote. And basically for us to vote to represent a party that represents our needs and who has the best policies in place that will support youth development. I think those were major factors that brought in plenty youth out to vote yesterday.
And what do you think is the youth vote that was responsible for the numbers that we are seeing? Because even members of the PNM, we saw that the response was that they were surprised that the PDP has done so well thus far. Do you think it's the youth vote that's responsible for how well the PDP has done so far?
Well, when we look at certain districts like Kane and Bonaccord where Nutsy went up, a lot of youth followed Nutsy in that area, from Village League, from coaching sports. So I think even though Nutsy didn't win, the reason why he was so close behind Clarence Jacob is because he had that youth support. Looking in other areas like Bacalet, Mount St. George with Mr. Joel Jack, I think the youth definitely played a good part in that constituency as well, because not only is Joel Jack in power there for over 10 years, but he has a very powerful youth league that supports him firmly. And I think not only those two districts, but a lot of other districts in Tobago, youth came out to vote and exercise their right to vote. And I think a major aspect of the turnout is the youth vote for sure.
When it comes to the various manifestos of the candidates for each of the electoral districts, each would have had plans for youth development and, to address the issue of youth unemployment and underemployment. When it comes to the policies of both parties, who do you think, in your opinion, just from the information that you have, the youth would have been more interested in and more willing to vote for, being that it would have affected the youth population positively?
Yes, well, my personal and honest analysis on this, on the manifestos of each party, is that PNM gave us the regular things we needed to see: renovate a field, fix up a community center. But PDP had a more holistic vision for the island, the transformation of Scarborough. There are different things in sports, fishing, to bring those things to our next level, to acquire more funding to the island so that Tobago youth wouldn't have to be too much dependent on Trinidad for everything, but to have a mind of our own. And I think that really motivated some youth as to the power that they could have. And in my personal analysis, yes, some people may say that the PDP's manifesto is probably unrealistic for now, but I would always say big dreams form big realities. And and that is why I was so impressed with them.
Let's speak now about the local government by-elections here in Trinidad. We are seeing that one seat has actually gone in another direction, which was historically a PNM seat. What do you think? What do you think about that swing? And what do you think when it comes to local government elections that the young people need to know and why they should participate?
Yes. Well, I will always say no seat is safe because we are seeing a, a wider representation of candidates, new people coming in, and even over here in Tobago, the reason why one of the main reasons why I think the PDP is so successful is because they screen and selected people that were a part of the community, people that were influential in the community, and I think that may be that may be a result of the Trinidad election. And plenty times MPs and councillors elected in the area do enough, and the pressure is always on the incumbents, whether or not we believe it or not, because even if they slip up once, they have the the chance of losing their entire vote to the next party.
Let's speak about youth representation now. In the government, there are usually senior heads that are involved in. They become candidates and then they become seat holders of the various electoral districts and constituencies. Do you think there needs to be proper youth representation within the main parliament rather than a separate youth parliament?
Yes, I definitely think large-scale youth representation must be within the parliament, and yes, we have youth parliaments, and I'm very happy for that. But at the end of the day, we as youth need that hands-on experience, and I think it's just 2 years ago, the youngest minister of tourism for Bahamas went in, thinking he's 23 years old, somewhere around there, and that just shows that youth that there's power in our youth, that we should not underestimate our youth, keep them out of events, keep them out of parliament, because we have a lot to contribute.
What do you think youth have to contribute in parliament?
Could you repeat, please?
What do you believe that youth can contribute to parliament?
Definitely, the main thing that youth could contribute to parliament is diversification, inspiration. They could contribute to innovation, a new way of thinking, because we're heading into a next generation of leaders, and we already need, and we will need those kind of views, those kind of morals from the younger ones. The way the older do things isn't always the only way, and we have different views, different opinions. I was listening yesterday on an interview, and they said this generation is a lot more educated than the last generation of voters, and we are less easily fooled because we actually see what they've been doing. We've grown up under the administration and seen everything. I think we could contribute a lot. I think we could contribute a lot in the assembly legislature, in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago, and also in the policy making of laws and different manifestos.
Do you believe that this can't be done via the youth parliament?
Yes, there's only so much you could do via the youth parliament, because at the end of the day, what we see in youth parliament happen a lot of times is that youth go there, they debate, nothing is done for the ideas proposed. Most of the times, the motions aren't even chosen by the youth, and I don't know if they have changed that today, but plenty times, me especially going into debate, there's always a set motion to which we just debate, and there's only so much you can do by the youth parliament. Yes, we want representation. Yes, we want to be seen, but at the end of the day, we need to be involved in the policy making of the island.
All right, with that, I want to say thank you for your time so much, Jamon Madden, Youth Assemblyman of Scarborough Calder Hall Electoral District there in Tobago. Thank you for your thoughts and your perspective, the youth perspective, when it comes to the THA election 2021 and the local government by-election here in Trinidad as well. Thank you again.
Thanks for having me, Kerry.